Hello, good day to all our viewers. We welcome you to today's episode of the Peace Clinic. We are glad that you could take out time to join us. Once again, the Peace Clinic is brought to you by the Institute of Global Peace and Conflict Management, and I remain Janet Michael, the Director of Media and Information, Institute of Global Peace and Conflict Management, and I'll be co-anchoring today's episode with Ambassador Joshua Tahule, the Registrar for Institutes of Global Peace and Conflict Management. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Jenna, thank you. It's a privilege to be here once again. And to our viewers, thank you so much for joining us to be part of this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. So today we'll be looking at human rights violations and conflict in Nigeria. If you're joining us, do well to go down to the comment section. Let us know where you're joining us from, and we would love to have you in this discussion. We are talking about human rights violation and conflict in Nigeria. For today, we will be breaking this down into, first we'll be looking at the concept of human rights. We'll be looking at Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Also, the key aspects of this Universal Declaration. We'll also be looking at the concept of human rights violation. We'll be looking at the forms of human rights. Thank you for joining us. Now, looking at the concept of human rights, what exactly do we mean when we talk about human rights? This refers to the basic rights and freedom that are inherent to all human beings, regardless of the race, the nationality, the ethnicity, religion, gender, or any other status. Human rights is grounded in the idea that all individuals have inherent dignity and worth, and as a result, they are entitled to certain protection and entitlement simply by the virtue of being a human being. So once again, thank you for joining us, Ambassador Joshua. We would love to hear from you concerning what you think about human rights.
Jenna, thank you very much. When we talk about human rights, these are universally accepted entitlement of mankind. Those things that we consider as we have entitlement, we human beings always have entitlement mentality, right? So this one now give us the privilege to have certain rights that we are entitled to enjoy as human beings. And by the virtue of we being human being alone, qualify us to access those rights. And then, and they are universal. They are not just in one location and then in another location you don't have it. No, they are universal rights that are due to mankind. So once you are a human being, you have the opportunity to enjoy those rights as being enshrined either in the Constitution or at the universal level, that is at the United Nations level where it was adopted. So it's something that's designed to benefit mankind. Okay, by the way God created us, God give us freedom and give us opportunities to explore certain things. So in the course of exploring those things, we have certain rights that we are to enjoy, and this is what we are talking about here now. So there are rights that are due for us to benefit, to enjoy them by the nature with which we are created. Okay, so they is something that we need to know so that your right will not be abused anywhere, right? And then even when your right is abused, you should be able to know what to do. And I think this is the reason why this topic is very, very paramount this morning.
Oh, thank you very much, Ambassador Joshua. So next, we will be looking at the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Someone might be asking, okay, how did we come about, the concept of human rights? The Universal Declaration of Human Rights, the UDHR, was adopted by the United Nations General Assembly on the December 10th, 1948, as a response to the atrocities of World War II, and as a fundamental document outlining the fundamental rights and freedom to which all people are entitled. As a people, as a nation, and also as humans who are living in this world, we have, encountered series of wars. We have the World War I, the World War II, Civil War, and and the likes of them. So there was a need to come up with the Declaration of Human Rights. That's the basic human rights that will be recognized universally, and by which people will be governed with. And that is why the United Nations deemed it fit to come up with the concept of human rights, and also what it entails. So we will be going further to look at the key aspects of this universal declaration. First, we have the inherent dignity and equal rights. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights starts with the premise that all human beings are born free and equal in dignity and right. It emphasizes the inherent dignity and worth of every individual, regardless of race, of color, of ethnicity, of language, of religion. We are first humans before we are any other thing. We also have the civil and political rights, which has to do with the fact that every individual is entitled to, including the right to life, the right to liberty, to security of persons, to freedom from slavery, to torture and arbitrary arrest. We also have the economic and cultural right. This right recognizes economic, social, and cultural rights as essential components of human dignity. We have non-discrimination and equality. We have the rights to freedom of expression and assembly. We have the rights to education and health, which states that everybody is entitled to the right of education, which is a fundamental human right. And education should be free, at least in the elementary and fundamental stages. And as a country, Nigeria, especially in the northern part of the country, we can see this, free education coming up into place as a fundamental right. The girl child and even the boys are being sent to school. We also have accountability and justice. This emphasizes the importance of accountability and justice for human rights violation. It states that everyone is entitled to fair and public hearing by independent and impartial tribunal in the determination of their rights and obligations. So these are just a few of this universally declared human rights as stated by the United Nations General Assembly. Ambassador Joshua, what do you think about these human rights that have been stated, and how they relate to us as a people?
All right, Janet, thank you so much for the overview of the human rights that are due for us to enjoy. During the First and the Second World War, there were so many atrocities that were committed. And it was just obvious that we need something that will govern us as a people universally. And these rights were defined and declared so that we will know them, so that henceforth members of the United Nations can begin to obey and honor these human rights. And apart from that, all nations, all member states of the United Nations have domesticated them and have imputed them in their constitutions. Like as I'm talking to you now, some of these rights are mentioned in our constitution in Nigeria here. So Nigeria, as a member of the United Nations, is also bound to oblige and honor these rights. Okay, and so these rights are here for us, and it's for us to enjoy it, and any other person. And that's why there's no need for the abuse of the human rights. But based on human desires and ambitions, and then the human ego, sometimes these rights are being abused. So we are here to look at them, and there's maybe some of the abuses that might have occurred and what we can do to prevent them. So I think it's the best way to go. So, but we have this right for us to enjoy freedom. You can express yourself freely. Okay, nobody should limit you from expressing yourself and your opinion, how you feel on certain issues. Okay, although in your expression you should mind your language so that it will not appear as if you are conducting hate speech or you are attacking anybody or anything, but you are free to express how you feel. Okay, so, and even if your criticism, whether it's constructive or not, but you must express yourself how you feel it. You have that freedom of speech. That's what we are doing now. We are communicating freely. Nobody's limiting us. Why? Because we have the freedom to speak. Okay, so that's what we are doing now. Assuming we don't have this freedom to speak now, this thing we are doing now, maybe it might have been limited. Don't communicate, don't even use Facebook to do such kind of meetings. I get them now. So your rights will be limited. Okay, and I can tell you what we are doing now. In some other countries, you don't have the opportunity to do this thing. Okay, maybe they don't even allow Facebook in their own country. Do you understand? So certain things are being limited. So um but we have this right so that we can use the freedom of expression, but they have other means within which they can express themselves. Okay, it must not necessarily be Facebook. I'm just giving an instance. For us here, we don't have such a limitation, so we are using it. For us, it's just an addition to and a channel we can use to express ourselves. So we have different means within which we can express ourselves. We can go to the mainstream media, the social media, to express our opinion, or whatever means we can express our opinion and people can hear us. Is you have the right to do it. Okay, but when you are expressing yourself, express yourself within the confine of the law, so that, because one thing with rights is that where your rights stop, another one starts there. Okay, so you don't need to go beyond the necessary right you have to express yourself. So this is just one instance. Okay, we have the right to live. Okay, nobody should just wake up and kill somebody. That's why when you kill somebody, it becomes a crime, because you don't have the right to take somebody's life, because one, you are not the one that created the person. You are not the one that put the life in the person, so you don't have the authority to take it. The only time the state is being assigned to take any life is when that life becomes a threat to the state and to the state existence. That they have been empowered, but it's not everybody. It's just the security apparatus that have been empowered to do such where there is need. I get it going on. So, but we have been seeing different cases here and there. So, and this is the reason why we're here to discuss this a very important, vital topic, so far as we are human beings and these rights are meant for us to enjoy.
Oh, thank you, Ambassador Joshua, for that. So once again, to our viewers, we can see you. We can see your reactions. We would love to have you in this conversation. We are talking about human rights violation and conflict in Nigeria. So do also go down to the comment section. Let us know what you think about this topic, and also put down your questions, and we will attend to them in due time. So Ambassador Joshua, now we are moving into the concept of human rights violation, and people believe that, and also it states that it refers to actions or omissions by individual, group, or government that infringe upon the fundamental human rights and freedom to which all human beings are entitled to. We have seen the concept of the human rights and what it entails, but unfortunately these human rights are being violated. These human rights are being infringed upon, and the violations can take several forms. It can occur in various contexts, including armed conflict, war, even in times of peace, and criminal. That's in the criminal justice system. We can see the violation of human rights. We can see that even in our country, Nigeria. Day by day we see issues of human rights violation, and also in other parts of the world in situation of war and conflict. So, what do you think about this concept of human rights violation, and how do we go about it as a people?
Yes, like we have rightly said, because these rights are for us to enjoy as human beings by the virtue of our creation and birth. Okay, so once you are given birth, you are entitled to these rights and you can live and enjoy them. But over time, why in the course of interaction or maybe in the course of assignment, whether it's official state assignment or individual assignment, we begin to come down on some people's rights. We begin to infringe on some people's rights. And this has now generated tension and anxiety into the polity, and then it's causing conflict. So now, why are we experiencing abuse? That's the question we should ask ourselves. This, like this rights that we have, you are to enjoy it, I am to enjoy it, another person is to enjoy it. But why is it that one is abusing another, one is abusing another? Why is that one is trying to step on someone's rights? There may be factors like, we may say greed, we may say ego, we can say it can be, you know, over ambition. Okay, when somebody is over ambitious, can make them to do anything. Or maybe somebody just want to show off what they can do, maybe in terms of power, okay, authority. When someone has that, they want to show off. So as a result, they begin to abuse others' rights. Okay. Now we can take, for instance, now maybe let's take the military for instance. Now the military, because of the virtue of their position and their empowerment, based on the job they are doing, they may, in a situation, decided to do something that is not in line with, or maybe in the course of maybe interaction, maybe provocation may come. So instead of doing the right thing, they will begin to, show off. Okay, we have seen these instances over and over again, and this was the reason why even SARS was even disbanded. Okay, SARS was created to address some certain, security challenges, but they themselves became a challenge, and people protested, and it was scrapped. Do you understand? So this is what we are talking about. So in the course of maybe doing your assignment, you overstepped. Okay, you just go beyond the bounds. So the boundary. So it now becomes something else. So, and this is the reason why we have to carry out this necessary education, which is one thing that we are doing here now, to educate the people so that they will know their rights. And also, even the people that are doing their job should know the limit to which they can go, so that it will not constitute a violation of other people's rights. Because you overdo your job, it becomes a criminal offense. It becomes, something else. So, and this is what has been happening over the time. Okay, in the course of maybe doing our jobs, or in the course of interaction, just social interactions, and then you begin to look down on somebody, you begin to step on someone's rights, and then you begin to abuse it. Do you understand? So we witness these instances as we interact in society. Sometimes it even surprises you that even when you go to the public places to take a public transportation, where you also are going to pay for money, okay, and then get a space in the car to go where you want to go, there and there in your right is being abused by someone who felt that he's more privileged to be there than you. Do you understand? So we are experiencing this kind of abuses everywhere. If I can say, I will give you instances. There are several instances that I can give you. Okay, so maybe in the terms of competition, let's take a look at political instances where maybe there's a place where people are to contest for election, and then one person arbitrarily is being sidelined or is being, stepped upon, and then just to favor someone else. Do you understand? So instead of making the competition to be, give them a free ground, let them compete and let the winner emerge, some people will step on other people's right, and then, suppress them and give someone a favor that he or she may not even deserve. Do you understand? So when things like this happen, you step on someone's right, and if that person say, I will not take it, then it results to something else. And that's why sometimes you see killings taking place even in political system. And that's why people feel that, oh, politics is a dirty game. Sometimes it's because people's rights have been violated and they could not just take it. So they look for other ways to see how they can get justice. And if they say they will take it to court, you know how our court system also is. That's why we're talking about the
Yeah.
criminal justice system. The criminal justice system also itself is another aspect that we're talking about here. We want to give on an arbitrary judgment, a judgment that is not right. You step on someone's right. I get a point now. So all these things are the issues that we're talking about. And we have been experiencing them, we have been witnessing them in one way or the other. You deny someone's opportunity and give it to someone's ace, is also stepping on someone's right. Okay. If someone is qualified for something and is qualified for it, then let it be on merit. So once it's not done on merit, it becomes, abuse of rights. I get a point now. So that's what it means. So let everything be on merit. Who get it, get it. Okay. But once you begin to do it to favor someone else, or by way of nepotism, or by way of tribalism, or by way of religious affiliation, or whatever, it becomes something else. And then we look at the issue of association. Okay, we talk about freedom of association and all of that. So, but some people felt that you should be in my own association, or I should be in your own association. And if that is not the case, then you are an unbeliever. In the case of religion, take it that way. So if you are not a Muslim, then you are an infidel. If you are not a Christian, then you are an unbeliever. Do you understand? What does that mean? So where is the freedom of association? The traditional people should go and do their thing. If you believe in Jesus Christ, follow him. If you believe in Muhammad, follow him. That is your choice. You have freedom to decide what you go for. Do you understand? So if it's Ogbanje or Duduwa or whatever, or the god of iron, you want to go and serve, it's your choice. Okay? So if it is swim in my place that you want to go and serve, it's your choice. Do you understand? So do it, but don't do it and infringe on other people's rights. Do you understand? And these things have been going on and on. And sometimes we see a religious a gathering, they block the road and nobody cares. Okay, in name of crusade, in names of prayers, and all of that, it's not correct. We if I think it's Islamic people, they have mosques. That's Islam. They have mosques. Christian, they have churches. If prayers must be done, should be done inside the mosque or inside the church. Why on the road? Why conduct a crusade in such a way that the road is blocked and then people cannot pass? Where we have freedom of movement, and then you block people and then they're suffering before they can pass. Do your prayers in the church. Do your prayers in the mosque. And if it's a prayer that requires mass participation, get a venue that can accommodate you. And that's why even in Islam, or Islam, they have what we call the e-grounds. That is a prayer ground. That grounds, they created it so that, because this kind of prayers demands mass participation. Do you understand? So go to that ground and pray there. These things were designed so that we should not step on other people's rights. But people pray on the road and they don't care. They block the road and they don't care. They say crusade is going on, so they block everywhere. Prayer is going on. Islam is the same thing. Even the Christian, the same thing. So what do we do? So what about the person that is not part of you? Sometimes this thing creates crisis. Do you understand? They create crisis. And so and these are some of the abuses we are seeing. Sometimes you look at you not think it's an abuse, but it's actually an abuse. For instance, now those in government, they take certain decision and take certain action. They feel that they are doing government job, or you are a security officer, so you can do and undo. No, you cannot do and undo. There's a limit to which you can go. And most especially when someone does not constitute any form of threat, and then you begin to abuse a person, then it's a total violation of the person's right. And we have been witnessing this in our system here.
Thank you, Ambassador Joshua. Truly, just like you mentioned, people should know and understand their fundamental rights. And it is also important that while they're exercising that right, they do not infringe on the rights of others. This is to ensure that, we live in a peaceful and we coexist peacefully. So next, we will be looking at the types of human rights violation. Human rights violation includes a wide range of action or omission that undermines or deny basic human rights, like we have mentioned. And we will be seeing just a few examples of that violation. We have the civil and political rights violation. This violation includes, rights such as the right for expression, freedom of assembly, the rights for free trial, the rights for privacy, and freedom of torture or arbitrary detention. And we can see that as a nation, we have situation whereby people are being taken into custody, and they are being tortured before there is a fair hearing, before they get to know if they are truly the if they're truly responsible for that action that is claimed to have happened. We also have the economic and social cultural rights violation. This includes violation of rights such as the right to education, the right to health, rights to work, rights for adequate housing, and rights to an adequate standard of living. We have violation against women and gender-based violation. And we have people, human rights advocates that have been standing up to stand against these types of violation. This includes violation of rights related to gender equality and protection from discrimination, rights that has to do with harassment, domestic violence, and harmful traditional practices. We also have violation against children, and I think for one, this is an aspect of human rights violation that people do not even pay attention to. Children are also violated. Children also are entitled to a human right, and the ways which this violation can happen is exploitation. We see children being exploited. We see abuse, abuse here and there. We see children who are supposed to be in school are being sent to hawk in the streets. That is another aspect of human rights violation, and I think as a people we should put this into consideration. So as we proceed, we'll be looking at the forms of human rights abuses in Nigeria. There are several of them, and over the years, we have seen series of them. We have, for example, the Boko Haram insurgency, and we see how there was extrajudicial killings, and the fundamental rights of humans, the right to life, the right to safety. These rights were being denied to people. We see security forces in Nigeria, even including the police and the military, are also implicated in this. And there are reports of security forces, using excessive force to carry out arbitrary execution and engaging in unlawful shootings, particularly in the context of the Boko Haram insurgency. So as a people, Ambassador Joshua, how do you think that this form of human rights abuses can be addressed, especially when it has to do with extrajudicial killings?
Thank you, Janet. That's what I was saying, that if we must do our job, we should understand that there's a limit to which we can do our job. Yes, the Constitution empowers us to carry out certain functions as security officers and all of that, but there's a limit to which you can go. Okay, although in our system we are operating an environment whereby we react to things instead of responding to something. Do you understand? Something happened, instead of you to respond, you react. That is wrong. Something, they say, okay, there's a criminal offense or something has happened in this place. Instead of you to go and investigate before you arrest before you start investigation. That is reaction. Okay, but in other places, when something happened, they investigate. Sometimes it takes years of investigation. Do you understand? Just to get evidences that you want before you now go and arrest. But in our own situation, I can tell you for sure, there are some people in prison today for cases they know nothing about, but they are there. Do you understand? So, and there were some people that they were denied fair hearing. They were not given opportunity to express the reason why they do certain things, or they are doing certain things, and they were killed. I can tell you this issue of Boko Haram. Boko Haram was there. They were doing their things, okay? But they were not violent at that stage until their leader was killed. And how was he killed? Extrajudicial killing was done. There are some certain crises that are going on because some young people felt that their leader, who was their gang leader or whatever, was killed in the way, a manner he should not have been killed. Yes, they kill people anyhow, and there shouldn't be mercy anyway, but let it go through the channel to which it can go. Take them to court, let them be convicted before you kill. Somebody is not being convicted and you kill him, that is extrajudicial killing. You are taking laws too far, you are taking your powers too far. And we have been having these instances. You see, people were protesting at the Lekki. These people were harmless people. They were not, in possession of any ammunition. But the security people went and opened fire on them and killed them, and then still come and deny it. Do you understand? So all these things are extrajudicial killings. We have seen them, we have witnessed them. Sometimes police will torture somebody to a point that the person dies in their custody. Do you understand? And sometimes they write all manner of report and all those things and say they are not responsible and give all manner of report. They say they should go and do autopsy. They go and conduct autopsy and then come back with fake result. Do you understand? So this kind of things are going on because they are in a position they can do and then cover. And this has made people to lack confidence. They don't have confidence in the government and government institution. There are some people that don't want to involve police in their matter at all, no matter how grievous that problem is. They don't want to involve the police. Why? They lost trust and confidence in that institution, and which is not supposed to be so. Police is supposed to be our friends, but because of these abuses that we're talking about here, some people don't want to even involve them in any matter whatsoever. So these things are there, but we can actually be able to address some of these things. It's not something, just know the limit to which your job responsibility can go. So if you can know your limit, then you cannot go beyond. It doesn't matter even if you have suffered for years to look for someone, to even arrest someone. Okay, even when he is confirmed that is the one responsible, you are not to kill him, take him to court, let him be convicted, and let the sentence be done in court. And then after that, whatever, even if it requires that he should be killed, you can go ahead and do it. If it's required that it's life imprisonment, you go on life imprisonment. Do you understand? You don't just go and kill people anyhow. And sometimes even the community people take these laws into their hands. They kill someone, we call it jungle justice. That is infringement on people's rights. Yes, there are certain things that are happening in your community you don't want. You want to do away with. That's fine, but it shouldn't be done in that manner. Okay? Let people be sent to where they're supposed to send. And the reason why sometimes the community people don't want, sometimes they felt that if the legal way, it will not end. And maybe apart from that, maybe somehow, someone, maybe one connection, they will go and discharge them and bail them out, and then that will be it. So sometimes people look at this and begin to take laws into their hand, but it's not supposed to be so. It's supposed to go through the channel it's supposed to go. We have the legal system. Let the legal system decide who is at fault and punish where the law says it should be punished. You understand? Not you killing. And we have been seeing this happening. And so it's also a problem. And it's one way of human rights abuses.
Interesting. Thank you, Ambassador Joshua. Still looking at the forms of human rights abuses in Nigeria, we also have torture and ill treatment, which we have mentioned, and also the arbitrary arrest and detention. Next, we'll be moving into the violence against women and girls. Women and girls in Nigeria face high level of violence and discrimination, including domestic violence, sexual abuse, the girl-child marriage, the female genital mutilation, and trafficking. The Nigerian government have been criticized for inadequate efforts to protect women and girls from these abuses and to hold perpetrators accountable. Ambassador Joshua, over the years, we have seen, series of violence against women, gender-based violence, violence against girls, and we have seen a few of them, which has to do with sexual assaults, the girl-child marriage, trafficking, and the likes of them. And several have argued that the Nigerian government, have not done have not adequately protected the women and the girl child from these abuses, and also the perpetrators of these abuses have not been held accountable. So what can you say about this issue of the violence against the women and the girls?
Practically, it's a challenge in our system. The issue of violence against women and gays is a challenge. We felt as if women are second-class citizens or second-class people, and so they should be maltreated or should be treated anyhow, and nobody should question it. And then we say this is African culture, this African tradition. This is not African tradition. This is a human, and this human have rights, and the person have the rights for protection as well. And so if you are a husband abusing your wife, you ought to protect your wife, not to abuse her. Do you understand? So that is what it means. So, but we see where a man will beat a wife sometimes to a stop, sometimes even to death. Do you understand? We have some people that, okay, there was an allegation that our popular Osinachi died on account of domestic violence. Do you understand? We have several of them. I just mentioned one popular one that anybody is aware of. But we have several of them that are out there. Do you understand? That women are being abused and maltreated. These are the challenges that we face in our society today. But women are not second-class citizens and should not be maltreated. In situations where there's misunderstanding, even at home or in a home, there should be a way to resolve those differences, not to resort to beating. There's one video I saw, one man was beating a sister. This one was even a sister. He from Benue. He bet the way he manhandled the sister, it was so terrible that they have to take it over. It took the sisters just kind heart to redeem that man. Otherwise, the civil society and the organization were not, ready to listen to any form of excuse. They took it up and they were looking to fight. They were willing to fight for justice. And until the gays by herself intervened and said that they should allow it, that it was a family issue and it's a brother. These are some of the reasons why sometimes people ignore some of the things. They see things happen and they ignore it because if you go there now, they'll turn it to another matter and then look as if you are wasting your time or you are the enemy here. Do you understand? So, but these are the issues. So, gay child, and when you talk about, you go to some places, giving gay children are just a gay child is just like a slave. You just go, they dash you into marriage like it's something that is not of honor. If your child is going to marry, let your child marry in honor, not when they come and bundle her and then take her to a man's house in the name of marriage. That is not marriage. And sometimes these gays are not ready for that. They force them into it. It's an abuse on that child. Some parents even maltreat their own children. You beat a child to a point that there are marks on the body, stick marks on the body. What is the meaning of that? Scars on the body. Why? That is abuse. You are not to beat your child like that. Yes, there's a place for discipline, but there's a level you can discipline a child, not by abusing the child. Some will even burn hot water and pour on the child. Some will grind pepper, put in the eyes, put in anus. For what now? In the name of discipline. Is that how to discipline a child? That is abuse. You are abusing that child's right. Do you understand? And we have been witnessing some of these things in our various communities. Sometimes people don't talk about it. I don't want to be involved in that matter. I don't want someone to come and hurt me. No. If you see something like that, say something. Let people know it so that justice can will be gotten for that child. So it's very, very important. Okay. So this abuses on women is very rampant in our society. Very rampant. But thank God, there's so many women organizations that are coming up to stand for gay children, and I think they are doing a lot. And those things are reducing. And I believe that as we continue, we'll begin to find justice for many of those issues. I remember where Brekete family treated one of the issues like that. And it was also one of the things that even nearly cost the license of that institution, because the nearly even, withdraw the license that was given to them simply because the moderator or the founder of the human rights Brekete family slapped one woman. And why? Because of the way the woman treated a particular child. You know, a child that is in your custody, you boil water and you pour on the child, and the body was, if you look at the stream, was very terrible. And this guy could not hold it and slap the woman. So this nearly cost him his license. I get a point now. But I understand how he felt. How can you abuse a child to that level? And these things happen in our society every day. For the ones we heard about them, they are very few. The ones that we didn't hear anything about, there are many cases out there that we didn't hear anything, simply because somebody is seeing it, but they say, I don't want to be involved. Please be involved. Time is coming. We are going to also have a justice forum. Okay, these are people that we have our lawyers that are members that are lawyers. Okay, that is their profession. So we are going to have we have a justice forum already. So we are going to activate it. And this justice forum is going to fight for the rights of the people, to protect the rights of people. So those that are lawyers, those that are mediators and arbitrators, they are going to function under this group. Okay, and what are they going to do? They are going to go and make sure that the rights of the people are protected. So where there is an abuse, we take the case up and then send it to court and make sure that the person abused, get the rights or the justice that he or she deserves. And that group, we are going to activate it very, very soon. I get a point on that forum. It's a forum under Institute of Global Peace and Conflict Management. So we have something like that in place so that people can be protected, because the right of people is so much abused in this nation. And so we need to have something that will be proactive. So these people will be there functioning and taking those cases and treating them as God will help us. So I think people's rights must be protected, and most especially the children and the women, because they are the most vulnerable people in our society. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Ambassador Joshua. Truly, there is need for the girl child and also for the women to be protected. So moving forward, we will be talking about forced displacement, and we have seen that quite a number of times, especially in our nation, Nigeria, where people are displaced from their homes. This can be linked to the Boko Haram insurgency, which has to do with an extremist Islamic group which emerged in the early 2000s, and it has been responsible for numerous attacks, numerous killings, and as a result, so many people were displaced from their homes. That's talking about the northeastern region of our dear country, Nigeria. We also have the situation of the farmers and the herders clashes, which has also resulted in the forced displacement of people. People are being sent from their house. People are being, sent from places they know to be home. Their homes are being destroyed. And down to this moment, there are a number of people who do not have homes. Their ancestral homes have been destroyed, and they are living where, just hanging around and moving homeless without a place to call home. So what can you tell us about this form of human rights violence?
Yes, you see, these are the impacts of human rights abuses. Okay, there are some abuses that lead to conflict, and this is what we are talking about here, where people's rights are being denied. Then there are bound to be conflict, and most especially when people's rights are being denied and there's no provisions to cover them up. There's nothing to cover them up. Okay, the herders believe in movement, and if you want them to stop moving, create something to keep them inside. And feed the animals, and then feed the animals. That's what they want. And you say stop moving, and there's no provision. So what do you expect? There's going to be violence. There's going to be crashes. Okay. So the rights of the people, once you want to, it's like our rights are like water. Water. This rainwater. When the rainwater is coming, it doesn't want to start on its way. What we call the waterways. It's clear everything that it sees. I get a point now. So that's what it is. So you cannot stop our rights. This is our rights, and we have to enjoy them. So once you try to stop it, it becomes a problem. Do you understand? So but in as much as we have the right to do certain things and we have this right, I was saying it, that is if you are a header and you are to move, which is your right to move, freedom of movement, fine, you can move. But while moving, make sure that your animal doesn't eat anybody's thing. Okay? And then when you also the farmer, the animal did not eat your anything, your crops. So why killing the animal? Why is the issue of rustling? You don't need to do anything like that. You understand? So these are the issues. So once we respect each person's rights, then there will not be conflicts. The issue of Boko Haram it became so aggressive simply because 2000. Okay, Boko Haram started in 2000. I school in Meduguri. I got admission in Meduguri in 2004, 2005. Do you understand? And so I was in Meduguri throughout the period. We never even knew what was Boko Haram, and they say it started in 2000. We only got to know about Boko Haram around 2008. For those of us that were in Meduguri, that's what we got to know. And but this thing, politicians were using them because they were good in number. So they were using them to just try to see how they can get into offices. Okay, and then they got into the office, and what happened? They begin to, deny them certain promises and this one, and then to some extent, their right of association was also being limited. Okay, it's as if they cannot hold their activities again. Okay, so they began to attack government. By then, when they started, they were not attacking human beings. They were attacking only government institutions, government properties, and things like that. Because this is the people they were angry with. Because the government that was in the power promised them certain things. But when they got to the power, they refused to attend to them again. So they were angry with the government, the administration that was in power at that time. You understand? And so that's where the destruction started. And then their leader was arrested. And then it's just key like that, without any form of fair hearing, without any form of trial. So this is what escalated the Boko Haram issue, and then the killing that resulted in the Northeast. To it has been, we are yet to recover from it. You understand? Because of abuse of someone's right, it has the freedom of association, and if the association is not what you want in your system, take the person to court. Let the court make declaration that this meeting should not hold. This association should not continue because it's against human existence, against other people's right. And then that is a different case. Because they say Boko Haram, the literal translation of Boko Haram is Western education is bad. If you don't want Western education, there's no problem. But must you also infringe on other people's right, those who want to get Western education? Because education is also a right. We have the right to education. Okay, so anybody can decide the kind of education you want to get, whether Islamic education or Western education. So you don't have the right to stop anybody. Just continue with your own. Okay, so but these are the things. So we have rights of association. So and if somebody is in his own association, don't try, if you cannot convince him to join you, don't try to stop him to do the one that he wants to do. And if you feel otherwise, then there is a court for you to take the matter to, but not to go and kill someone or to go and start conflict simply because people disagree. So these are the issues. Once we begin to obey other people's rights and respect them, then there will be no issue at all.
Thank you, Ambassador Joshua. So moving forward, there's another form of human rights violation that we have seen and we are conversant with, but unfortunately this form of human rights violation have not been taken seriously, and this is the freedom of expression restriction. There have been instances of restrictions on freedom of expression in Nigeria, including harassment, intimidation, and violence against journalists and bloggers. That's talking about restriction on media. Even activists are not left out of this. And also the government, laws like Cybercrime Act have been used to suppress and curtail freedom of speech online. And we have seen that certain politicians or certain people have come up to say, oh, let us ban the social media, which is a medium of where people use to express themselves especially in issues concerning government. So what do you think about this infringement on the rights of media personalities and also individuals who are using the internet and the social media to express themselves?
Janet, thank you very much. In our country, we have a problem. We are not doing the right thing, but we don't want anybody to talk about it. And when you talk about it, government have an instrument called the DSS. They will come after you. Why should we use DSS to come after people who speak against you? If they don't use DSS, they use EFCC. If you are a political appointee, you have got political appointment before, they'll use EFCC to institute something against you, whether genuine or not. Do you understand? But if you are for them, even if you have a case, nobody cares. Do you understand? But the day you venture and criticize government, they will go and dust the fire and bring it out and say, well, you have a matter here that is pending, you should come and respond to it, simply because you have criticized what the government is doing. The crime of Muhammadu Sanusi, when he was kicked out as a emir of Kano, was because he called government to order, saying what you are doing, the policies you are putting in place, they are not people-oriented policies. This was his own crime. This person just trying as a citizen of the state, not just an ordinary citizen, a former central bank governor. It's advising you, calling your attention to order that this thing you are doing is not in the good of the people. He became your enemy. And then you have to destroy everything, the system that we knew for years. Now you can see the situation there now. It's just maybe by God's intervention that we have not seen serious conflicts in Kano. Do you understand? Because anything can happen. Then the group of Ado Bayalo will be killing people. The group of Sanusi will be killing people. Do you understand? This is how, but because someone's right was infringed upon, he expresses himself, and then you feel that because governor, you are appointed emir, we have, you are the one paying emir, so emir shouldn't say anything. This is what I was saying yesterday, that the traditional ruler should be empowered. Do you understand? So that they can have constitutional backing to say certain things where they have to say. Do you understand? And so, and this is not just, this is just one case. There's one man, another deputy governor of the central bank. One time he said something, he was invited, a few after a while, he died. Nobody know what happened, but he died. Do you understand? So these instances are there. So the truth of the matter is that as you have the instrument of line system, that is, they have instrument, government in our system here will believe that government, although government lies, but our own case here is too much. We have been known as if we are lying machines, okay? The institution of government is a lying machine. They just lie over everything. We don't trust them. They tell us today they're subsidy remover. Tomorrow they say subsidy continues. Nobody kills them, nobody. But when you dare to criticize one policy, then you become an enemy of the government. Most especially maybe when you use the media to achieve that expression. So these are the issues. So for those that are advocating that the media should be banned or anything like that, it's wrong. But I'm not saying that it should not be regulated. It can be regulated. There's no problem about that, the regulation. But the regulation should not be intended to limit people, but it should create limitation in terms of the boundaries you cannot exceed, the kind of things that you cannot say, because so that you shouldn't be go and giving hate speech on social media. It's not good. So people, social media can be regulated, that's fine. But to say that you ban is not correct. You cannot ban social media because this is the instrument people are using to reach out to even government, where they cannot afford to go through the mainstream media to communicate. Okay, this peace clinic we are doing here, we approach NTA to be hosting this peace clinic on the NTA. But they say we have to pay something, and we don't have the capacity to pay based on the rate they charges. So we are doing it on social media here. So assuming you ban social media now, we will not be reaching out to people as we are reaching out to educate them. You understand? Because there are some people that no matter, as I'm telling you, that people are learning from what we are doing here, and they are learning something. So assuming you ban social media now, we will not have the opportunity to be doing what we are doing. So you cannot ban social media, but you can regulate where necessary. Do you understand? So this is what it means. So if somebody is saying that the social media should be banned, then that person is operating in analog world, not in this our digital world. Digital world, you cannot ban social media because this is where things are happening. Even some of them win election as a result of social media. Some of them that are making noise, they are winning election on the basis of social media. Who knew them? If not because social media that hike them and then make them win election, became so popular and win election. So if it works against you, does not mean that you should go and work against its existence. Just make your strategy right and make it work for you. Be a good person and it will work for you.
I totally agree with you on that, Ambassador Joshua. There's actually no need to infringe upon people who are doing their job, like the media personalities. There are some journalists, unfortunately, who are in custody, and that should not be. So, as we proceed, we'll be looking at the consequences of human rights abuses. We have seen the concept of human rights. We have seen human rights violations. We have seen the examples of these human rights violations, and now we are looking at the consequences of these human rights abuses. The first we have here is physical and psychological harm. Human rights abuse often results in physical harm such as torture, violation, and even death. Unfortunately, this is the height of it, even death. Moreover, they can lead to long-lasting psychological trauma. People go through trauma from abuses. There's some kind of torture that we see in our systems, whereby people, somebody is being taken into this detention, he's being tortured before proper findings are being made, and at the end of the day, you find out that particular person is not guilty of the offense. Now, how do you expect that person to recover from that level of psychological trauma? It's actually sad. This can also include anxiety, depression, and also post-traumatic stress disorder. We also have issues of social unrest and conflict. A widespread of human rights abuses can lead to social unrest. People are coming up to protest. We had the incident in October 2020 of the End SARS movement, and this was a result of the SARS violation of human rights. People felt that their rights were being infringed upon. People felt that they were being abused. Especially the youth, the young people, and that led to depression and also social unrest. And this became a conflict in our society. We also have economic consequences. This can differ foreign investment. Recently we had incidents of foreign-owned companies leaving the nation. This has economic consequences, and this is as a result of social unrest, which can be linked to human rights abuses. We also have the loss of trust in institutions, especially in our judicial system. People no longer trust our system because of human rights abuses and how it has been handled. Violation of human rights erode trust in government institutions, even in the law enforcement agencies, when the people or the institution who are responsible for ensuring that these human rights are not being abused are themselves abusers of those human rights. That is actually an unfortunate situation. We also have instances of migration and refugee crisis. People are wanting to leave the country, especially young people. These are the young people we consider to be the future of our nation, but people are saying, any instance they get, they will japa, they will leave the nation, and that is actually unfortunate. We have also the health impacts, the interference in education, and then the undermining of democratic values. And we can see that in a nation where people do not even care. People sell their votes because they feel like their votes cannot or would not have any impact at the end of the day. And this is because of the various abuses we have seen. We have also seen incidents of people, going out to cast their votes and they are being violated. That is actually unfortunate as a nation, but we can see that, going on. And these are the consequences we have seen of human rights abuses. And there's need for the government and for institutions to arise and make sure that, these abuses are being averted. So, Ambassador Joshua, what do you think about this?
Thank you very much, Janet, for the highlights of those the consequences of human rights abuses. You know, it's not everybody that went through certain human rights abuse that can survive them. Do you understand? For instance, take the case of rape. Somebody is being raped. It's not every person that will survive that one. Do you understand? Some cannot recover from it. They cannot come up with to term with the reality of the fact that they have been raped by someone you don't know, someone you cannot. And in the worst situation, sometimes the rape results in pregnancy. How do you expect that kind of person to survive that kind of situation? It's not going to be possible. You understand? And some of these things cause depression to a point that someone has to take his own life, commit suicide, anxiety, trauma problems, shock. They cannot recover from it. You understand? So these kind of things, we have been seeing them. You abuse, you arrest somebody for a crime he did not commit, and this person maybe has a family to take care of. He's just rotting away in prison for a crime he did not commit. What do you expect this person? How do you expect person to survive? How do you expect this kind of person to recover from that experience? Do you understand? So, and the annoying aspect of it all is that the institution that's supposed to protect the rights of the people, they are the ones abusing it. They abuse you, and then you cannot dare to even go and report them anywhere because, okay, if the police officer abuse you, where will you report the police officer if you do not have money to even go to court? If you take the police officer to police will cover his own. Except there is an open evidence that cannot be hidden. That in that kind of situation, you have something to say. Otherwise, they will write all manner of report against you that they will allege that you were carrying a weapon and it was a threat to. So it was a matter of state defense and things like that. So these things are going on in our system here. We thank God institutions are speaking against them. Efforts are being made here and there to make sure that these abuses are reduced. And one of those efforts is just what we are doing here now, carrying public awareness. Okay. So now it's very, very important that we should understand sometimes people don't even know their rights. So even when their rights is abused, they don't even know. But another thing is that the people who see people being abused and they keep quiet, they are also part of the problem. How can you see an injustice and you keep quiet? But when it happens to you, expect someone else to talk. Do you understand? So it shouldn't be so. All of us must be each other's, brother's keeper. If I'm seeing your right being abused, I should be able to speak against it. I should be able to do something to stop it. If my right is abused, you are privileged to do something about it. At least you can report. At least you can do something just to get an evidence to show somewhere that this person was abused truly. Do you understand? So for me, I think we need to look at some of these things because they are causing us more trouble than good. Political instability, simply because one person is denied the opportunity, and so it's causing trouble all over. Do you understand? Because his right way, infringed upon. So let's carry everyone along. And in terms of competition, like political elections, let's deploy the tool of negotiation. Let's negotiate. Let's negotiate and arrive at something. You are contesting for election. Maybe I'm contesting for governor. You two are contesting for governor. And I say, my brother, this election is for all of us. And but based on maybe whatever zoning, or maybe even if you come from the same zone, there may be someone that may be so close to the post to a position than you. So just go into negotiation and look at it and arrive at something. Don't worry, when I win the election, I will give you an appointment, or I will give you a project. I will do this one. Do you understand? Just whatever form of negotiation you can negotiate to make sure that there is no violence whatsoever. But instead of going and showing power, showing ego, say, I will show you. Do you know who I am? You cannot stop me. This election is my election. Who says it's your own? It's for everybody, because we have the right to vote and be voted for. Everybody have that right. So if you are privileged to be voted for, then just put it in perspective that there will come a day that you'll be voted against. And so if you are being voted against, you should not be angry. Go and sit down. As simple as that. Instead of being so desperate and then you'll be killing people, constituting all manner of things. So it's not good. So, but this is the thing that we are experiencing in our system now. And it's not correct. So the military institution, that's the armed forces, the paramilitary, all of them, they are the ones that these incidences are always visible by the virtue of their position. So they should understand that when they do these things, they make people to distrust the government. Okay, people don't want to trust anything government, and even the institution itself, like the police or the army, for instance. When you are talking about, when you are trying to compare, even in our system now, when you try to compare the military and the army, any Nigerian can tell you for free that the army is still better. Okay, yes, they will tell you that, okay, yes, they have instances, but their own is still better when you compare to the police. Do you understand? You are forcing somebody on the road to give you money that is not. The reason why we are even paying high transport today is because of some of the activities that happen on the road. Do you understand? So it's not correct. So we need to do something. And this is what we are doing. And other institutions also are contributing their part. And before we know it, awareness will be sufficient and people will begin to, monitor what they do. Watch out what they do before they do that. Thank you.
Interesting. Thank you, Ambassador Joshua. There's need for the government to monitor this and to also put forth measures to mitigate this issue of human rights violation. So before we move forward, we'll be looking at the comment section. We'll be taking a few comments we have here from Mr. Malta Daniels, and he says armed conflicts, whether driven by political, ethnic, or religious factors, have devastating consequences for human rights, including displacement, sexual violence, child soldier recruitment, and humanitarian crisis. He also says that the human rights violation and conflicts in Nigeria and across Africa are complex and multifaceted issues stemming from various social, political, economic, and historical factors. So thank you very much, Mr. Malta Daniels, for that contribution. So moving forward, we have seen human rights violence. We have seen the various forms it takes. And right now, we will be looking at ways to mitigate these human rights abuses. Preventing human rights abuses and promoting peace requires a multifaceted approach involving various stakeholders at the local, the national, and the international level. When it comes to human rights, it is, it is universal. So there is need for everyone to put hand on deck to make sure that these human rights abuses are being mitigated both at the local, the national, and also the international level. The first we have here is education and awareness, and Mr. Joshua made mention of that. As an institute, one of our mandates is to create awareness on issues regarding peace and conflict management and conflict resolution, to make sure that it is possible for global peace to be attained, but we have to start at the local level. We have to start at the national level. And that is what the Peace Clinic is about, to educate people and also to provide awareness of issues and how we can address them. Promoting human rights education and raising awareness about human rights issues can empower individuals to recognize and defend their rights. And that is why we are bringing this topic to you, so that you can know your rights as a person, and also in situations whereby your rights are being violated, you can stand up and speak for yourself. And we also have, strengthening the rule of law, upholding the rule of law, ensuring judicial independence, and also promoting accountability for human rights violations. These are essential for preventing these abuses. So there is need for the rule of law to be strengthened in our nation. People should understand that nobody is above the law. And in situations whereby human rights are being violated, those perpetrators of those violations will face the consequences. We also have empowering civil society. There's need for civil society organizations to be supported. We have human rights activists. And Ambassador Joshua, is actually unfortunate that we have situations where human rights advocates are being detained. Presently speaking, as we are speaking, there are some of these human rights advocates, they are still in custody. And this is because, they have deemed it fit to come out to defend human rights. And that should not be, that should not be accounted to us as a people. So there is need for human rights, for advocating for justice and also promoting accountability, like I have said. So moving forward, we also see the promotion of good governance. And that is one of the major ways for us to mitigate the effects of human rights abuses. In a government where there's transparency, there's accountability, and the people are actively participating, it actually help to prevent human rights abuses and also to promote peace. We have the conflict prevention and resolution. There is need for conflict to be resolved and to be prevented, as soon as possible. When there is a conflict, there is need for the government, for individuals to spring into action and to make sure that that conflict is being prevented. And Ambassador Joshua, one thing, when it comes to human rights abuses and violation, one of the propellers is war. When there's a situation of conflict, because when there's conflict, nobody seems to care whose right is being infringed upon. People are selfish. People want to be heard. So there is, an occurrence of human rights violation and abuses in situations of war and conflict, where the children, the women, and the vulnerable people of the society, their rights are being abused. We also have the protecting the vulnerable people, like I've mentioned, and the population, the women and children. There's a need for this particular set of people to be protected. We have the international cooperation. There's need also for international bodies to also cooperate, regardless of the sovereignty of a state. When conflicts are getting out of hand, there's need for international cooperation. And it is actually beautiful that we have the United Nations. These are bodies that have been created to oversee, issues of conflict, and also to make sure that global peace is achieved. We also have promoting economic, social, and cultural rights. This is one of the ways that human rights violation and abuse can be mitigated. So it is necessary for us to ensure access to basic needs such as the healthcare, the education, the housing, and also employment. These are fundamental human rights, and there's need for these rights to be prioritized so that as a people we can live in peace, and we can ensure that peace is being held up, and also there's sustainable development. So, Ambassador Joshua, as we conclude on today's topic on human rights violation, what can you say about these key points that we have stated about mitigating these human rights abuses?
Thank you, Janet. If we have our legal system working properly, then 90% of the problem is reduced. Because situation whereby you are abused and you take the matter to court and the court, give you judgment in favor of you, and then we have this 3 4 times, 5 times, 6 times, 10 times, 100 times, then the people who perpetrate this kind of act will know that they have no place to hide. Do you understand? And it doesn't matter who abuses whose rights. Whether you are a governor or you are a senator and you abuse somebody, like the other governor slap somebody, you know how people call him out, and then he also have to tender public apology at that time. So if you abuse somebody's rights, whether it doesn't matter your position, if we have a legal system that is functioning well, it can bring people to account. And then once they know that the system is on ground that is very strong, as bringing people to account, people will reduce indulging in certain things. Do you understand? And then we talk about international cooperation, yes. And there are some certain cases, there are some people that have been infringed upon, like, and they could not get justice in this country. They have to go and look for it elsewhere at the maybe ECOWAS level. There are some ECOWAS judgment that are pending in ECOWAS court. Do you understand? They are pending because some people go and get their own justice there because they know that in Nigeria there is no guarantee, because the government will still go and interrupt the process and have their way out. But they have to go to ECOWAS, court, or at the United International Court of Justice to seek their uh, redress. And even this happens, even the Benue State government sometimes take the federal government to court over the killing of people in Zakibia. That was extrajudicial killing that took place in Zakibia. And they took the federal government to court and they won the case. And this thing happened under Obasanjo administration. They still was held accountable, and they pay the state government a reasonable compensation for that act. So this kind of thing should be put in. We will have systems that are very functioning, like the issue of the legal system. They will not have problem. And then also educate the people, because illiteracy is also another problem. Illiteracy also can make people don't know their rights, and even when they are abused, they cannot be able to differentiate whether they have been abused or not. Some of them, when you abuse them, they still feel as if you are doing them a favor. They understand, because they don't know the difference between human rights or what is human rights. They don't even know what is their rights. So civil society organizations, professional institutions like ours, let's putting heads together to do things to educate the people. And that's the reason why we initiate peace clinics, so that people can have knowledge of certain things, so that they cannot be victim of certain things, so that they will be able to say something, most especially when their destiny is being determined. Something, they are doing something that concerns you and you have no say. So know your right. When you know your right, they empower you. You understand? And you can stand against anything. You can stand against the government, you can stand against any individual. You understand? So that is just it. But the problem is that when you know your right and you want to use it, they still want to suppress you, using instrumentality of state apparatus to just suppress you, make sure that you don't say what you want to say. But I hope that by this orientation this morning, someone has learned something, and they are going to change the way they look at their rights. This is your right. Protect it, guide it, cherish it, and don't allow anybody to tamper with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador Joshua. For that, we'll be looking at the comment section to take a few comments from our viewers. We have a comment from Mr. Daniel Banjo, and he says, our corrupt and immoral attitude have led some victims of human rights abuses to keep quiet. I am aware of instances when cases of reported abuses have been turned against the victim by the police. In another instance, a court ruled against a visible abuse. Such abuse have left those affected most times to keep quiet. That is unfortunate. Ambassador Joshua, how do you react to this comment from our viewer?
What you're saying is true. It's true. If you go, the other time we wanted to invite the human rights, the founder of the Human Rights Radio and Television to our convention. You and I went to his place. People came with judgment. They came with the judgment they received from the court. But there's no way, there's no, they don't know how to go with the implementation. And even all effort they tried to implement it, it was not working out. So they have to look for a human rights fighter to fight for them for the implementation of that court judgment. Do you understand? So we have instances like some people go to that place simply because their rights have been abused. Every day you hear cases in that the family issues. Do you understand? So these are the issues. And so we need to have many of this kind of institutions around doing something for humanity. And then with that, when somebody gets justice for something, it should be enforced. But sometimes we get this justice and then nobody is there to enforce. And sometimes they want to manipulate it, like what Mr. Man say. They now, you the victim now become the at fault here now. Do you understand? You are being brutalized, but they don't want you to complain it. They say take it and let it go. And when you want to do something, they don't turn everything against it as if it's a conspiracy. Do you understand? So all these things are happening here. I'm also a witness to something like this. Do you understand? So it's not correct.
Interesting. Thank you, Ambassador Joshua, for that, and also thank you to Mr. Daniel Banjo for that beautiful contribution. We'll be taking another before we proceed from Mr. Abinada. And he says our legal system should start from the top because in most cases the law is not effective on the high-ranking individuals. That is actually unfortunate. Talking about the rule of law, we should understand that nobody is above the law and people should be treated as equals. So, Ambassador Joshua, as we conclude on today's episode, talking about human rights violation and conflicts in Nigeria, what can we say? We believe that the government should come up with policies that will prevent and that would help, policies that would help with the human rights violation and abuses. So what can you say to the government? What advice would you give to government and also to individuals, especially those listening to us, on issues relating to human rights abuses and how it leads to conflict in our nation?
Janet, the truth of the matter is that government does not lack policies. Neither government does not have laws that cover these things. The problem of government is the implementation and the enforcement of these laws. The laws are there. The Constitution is provided to cover the rights of the people. Okay? And this institution are established to protect the rights of the people. But at the end of the day, they become enemies of the people. Do you understand? So they become instrument of brutality. So the issue. So all these things are there. The policies, there are beautiful, beautiful policies and programs that are meant for the welfare of the people, but they are not being implemented. So it's not that they are not there. They are there. Government should rise to in fact, government itself is the number one abuser of those rights. Because where money of the people you are stealing it, you are abusing their rights. You have to provide for facilities like health facilities. You are not doing it. You are abusing people's rights. You understand? So these are the things. So number one abuser of people's rights is the government. So government itself should look inward and begin to adjust things. So that even if you are in government and if you are enjoying immunity, maybe you are in government, you are enjoying immunity, as soon as you drop it, you should be arrested and be tried. You understand? Once we begin to do things like this, you see our society will be good. But whereby we are so partial in application of these laws and policies, then we are going nowhere.
We are going nowhere. And that's what we have been experiencing. So the programs are there. Okay. So, and for us as an institution, and sometimes even when the institution like ours now want to talk to government, sometimes we'll be threatening you, oh, we'll deregister you, to do this and do that one. That is not the issue. Nobody is against you. Nobody is trying to fight you down. We are only saying that you should do certain things right so that your image will be protected, so that you can continue to go on with your administration. When you are criticized, you are not criticized simply because somebody wants to just wake up and criticize you. If you know too well that you're not doing something that is right, you should be able to accept criticism. And that's what leadership should do. Accept criticism and also listen to the hearing of the people. And then when you listen, respond. After you listen, hear. If they do give you an opportunity and the privilege to listen to you, they will not respond. Do you understand? So that is the problem. And sometimes if they want to respond, they respond negatively instead of positive response. So these are the issues. So we have beautiful programs and policies, even laws on ground for enforcement. We are not just doing it. Okay. So, but we'll continue to do something. We'll continue to say something. We'll continue to write to institutions and agencies of government to begin to look at some of these issues that we're discussing here to make sure that the right thing is done and the people are being educated. And even the National Orientation Agency should help and to educate the people, let them know their rights, and let them know how to stand up and speak for their own rights. Do you understand? And people should stop ignoring people when their rights are abused. If you see Mr. A, you Mr. B see Mr. A rights being abused, and you keep quiet, don't just worry. The next day or the next time is going to be you. Do you understand? The law of karma is in that one. When you see people suffering, you keep quiet. Just don't worry, it's coming. When it comes to you, you'll be the loudest to cry. You'll cry as people wait. It's just good that people should begin to look at these issues. When somebody is suffering or facing abuse, stand up and speak. Speak without fear. And then solution and help will come. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador Joshua. As we come to a conclusion, we will be taking a comment from Mr. Titus, and he says human rights abuse is being a recurrent issue, often perpetrated mostly by people who are supposed to be the protectors of this right. It is about an institutional failure and must be addressed holistically. Those whose rights are being violated have a role to also play in addressing the trend. By reporting to not only the law enforcement agencies but also to the relevant CSOs and human rights organization. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Titles, for that comment. So as we come to an end on today's episode, we want to appreciate you, Ambassador Joshua, for joining us. And also
Thank you, Janet.
Yes, and we are appreciating our viewers also for taking our time to join us on today's episode. Today we looked at how human rights, we talked about human rights violations and conflicts in Nigeria. And also the Peace Clinic is brought to you by the Institute of Global Peace and Conflict Management. To know more about us, you can do well to reach out to us or to visit us on www.igpcm.com.ng, or you can contact us via mail at igpcminfo@gmail.com, or do well to reach out to us by putting a call across on +234 703 345 8730 or +234 4156 9400. You can also do well to check us out on the social media. You can reach out to us on YouTube, on Facebook, and also on LinkedIn as Institute of Global Peace and Conflict Management. You can also find us on Instagram, on Twitter, and on TikTok at IGPCM. So once again, we appreciate you for joining us. To all those who contributed, we are grateful for making this an interactive section. And Ambassador Joshua, thank you once again for joining us. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow for another episode of the Peace Clinic. Thank you and do have a great day.
Thank you very much. Have a nice weekend. Thank you.